Welcome to the Fit Mama podcast, where it's all about gaining your health back as a busy woman and mom, and doing it without sacrificing time with your family or business. Here is your host, mompreneur and Fit Mama health coach, 𝙎𝙏𝘼𝙔 Campbell.
Let's dive in today's episode. We're going to talk about how this amazing busy mama of 4 fits time in for herself, and she's been doing it crazily consistent, which I love. And then we're also going to talk about just how she's been able to overcome things in her own mind to help, just realize the importance of her health coming first, not only for herself, but for her family and for her business. All the things, and then what she's changed. She's going to share a little bit about what she's actually changed in her priorities that's really truly helped her not only lose 11 pounds here recently. 11 pounds is freaking awesome. And many inches along the journey as well too, since we started a while back. And then just more so, we're going to talk about how she's good. I feel like right now you're the most mentally strong that I've seen you since we met.
I think that I've ever been in my whole life.
Yeah, I think so as well. So we're definitely going to talk about that. So if you're listening, if you're watching this right now live stream, then say hi. Say hi to Louise. Ask questions. If you have any during this time, ask them. I'm going to be watching them, so we can definitely get them answered best we can, or we will afterwards at least. If you're catching this later on a replay or on the podcast, then you need to join our group so you can also check it out live stream. You can go to our website, acfitmama.com, join our group, or acfitmama.com/chat, and set up a time to chat if you are struggling, as she was, or as many of us do, and just let's talk about it. Figure out what you can do to make the changes, right? So if you're watching this right now too, I would love for you to share, like, what is your current biggest mental struggle? Because I know there's a lot of us going through those. But before we do get started, I want to give a couple shout outs, because I love giving shout outs to some pretty amazing women right now that deserve it, right? So in the Fit Mamapreneur group, which is where we are always, and if you don't follow Louise, you need to follow Louise, because you will get fired up watching her. So definitely check it out. And so the shout outs today, I want to talk about a couple women here that I feel I'm extremely proud of, because one, they're saying I'm important too. So let's do this. They have committed to themselves this week just by simply getting started, which is a huge step. It's probably the hardest for a lot of people, is just simply realizing it's time that I get help, and I need to do this for myself. So big shout out to Amy Pryor, Brandy Miller, and Maria Mahoney, all 3 women that we are blessed to get started actually on Monday. So shout out, say welcome. If you're watching this in the comment or in the live stream, definitely say welcome to these ladies. And then 2 other women I want to give major props to. Jennifer Murray. She is amazing and quiet and very humble on sharing her progress, but she has been avoiding the scale actually, and got on it recently and realized, oh, I'm 15 pounds down. Woohoo!
Awesome.
Yeah, super shout out to Jennifer. And then also Alma, and I believe she's watching. She actually just commented as well, saying that she loves your accent, which I do too.
Thank you.
Yeah, doing amazing, putting herself first. Prayers for you right now, because I know you're really close to all the storms, Alma, but also 4 inches in her waist, ladies. It's going away.
Wow.
Yeah, so really awesome again. So I want to dive into it. And I know those that are watching are ready to listen to you, Louise. So again, if you're mentally struggling, this is definitely an episode that I think you should really, really listen to. And it'll be on the podcast for replay starting Monday. You can listen to it over and over and over. So let's start there. If you are ready, Louise, I would love for you to start just by simply sharing with those that are listening or watching now, like, what does a day in your life look like? Like all the responsibilities that you have growing a business, a mom, all the things. Share with us and what you do.
Okay, that's like, I took a deep breath thinking, oh my goodness, there is so much. So I am a mum of 4, aging from 15 to 1. All have varying different needs. So that keeps me busy in itself. I'm running my own home-based business. I've been my own home-based business owner for 10 years. I homeschool, currently homeschooling all of them because we've all been home for COVID, but my 15-year-old I homeschool too. I have 4 dogs, 3 guinea pigs, and yes, it's hectic. I think particularly the youngest ones, the 1-year-old and the 4-year-old, still need me lots and lots and lots. And when the baby is at home, it can be really, really hard because all the baby wants to do is be picked up and go outside and play bubbles and, you know, eat but on me. So it is full on, like really, really full on. And obviously I wouldn't have it any other way. But what I have noticed is when I'm like that, sometimes it can get overwhelming, which is why I made the decision, obviously, to start making changes, because I've obviously realised the priority of how important it is for us mums to be, you know, looking after ourselves. But yeah, it's hectic, like really hectic. The baby didn't sleep for like 2 years. Well, she's coming up for 2. So yes, I also had no sleep with that too. So that was like harsh.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So yeah, it's busy.
Yeah. And so how do you find time to do all that and grow a business and I love that you brought up the baby, because I'm kind of in the same boat with a 2-year-old, which he's at my mom's. I'm blessed today, but it's challenging. So tell me, or better yet, like doing all those things, what have been some of your biggest mental struggles throughout your journey to juggle it all? Like what, maybe, just disbelief, maybe mom guilt, any of those types of things?
Absolute mum guilt. The one thing, I know that I'm a good mum, and that's one thing that I can say, and that's, I think, being in the world of self-development, I know that I'm a good mum, and I did put everyone else first. But sometimes my pattern would be that I would get so overwhelmed, one, because I wasn't looking after myself, that I'd end up crying and having to have time upstairs away from everything because everything was on top of me. But at the same time, when, I wasn't facing, the struggles that I knew that I needed to face, I would end up going for foods that would give me that comfort. Like chocolate releases endorphins. It's like a drug. You have it and it makes you feel good, but then, you're on that vicious cycle of, you then have the guilt about eating it, and then you're on this vicious cycle where you're eating whatever you want to make you feel good, but it's only for a brief time, and then you're going back on that, oh, I feel disgusting, I've eaten this, I've eaten that, and then it is just relentless, and it is just a really, really horrible place to be, because I knew that there was stuff perhaps that I needed to face, but I didn't want to face it, so I'd soothe myself with chocolate or whatever food was like my emotional eating food. So yeah, that has been a struggle because everyone else would come first and I was at the bottom of the pile. And that's why I had to sleep sometimes twice a day for 6 years, because I wasn't well, I wasn't healthy. I was in fact, the last 6 years have been bloody hard.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been tough, really tough, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that, because I hear that a lot from the mamas out there that, we put ourselves on the back burner for so long, then you do get to a point where the mom guilt kicks in, because you're a good mom, but you're trying to juggle it all. Maybe, and some days I know I can say for myself, you get to that point where you're not really that good of a mom that you want to be, or you're not the happy mom. You're sometimes turned into a monster mom when you're that's the last thing you want to be. But when you're so tired, worn out, not taking care of yourself, and even, things with nutrition can totally throw your mood off. But I know a lot of women that self-soothe, and their stress goes to the chocolate, like you said, and the food. And then they beat themselves up after that. So then it's this constant mental struggle. And,
I've struggled my whole life, and I think it's important for me to share this, but I've struggled from probably around the age of 15 with food, because, I had stuff that happened in my childhood and never ever felt good enough. I had an eating disorder for 20 years, and my life was completely controlled by food, because I felt like that was the one thing that I could almost control what was going in and out of my body. But, and then obviously having 4 babies and stuff going on in my life that I hadn't addressed, because I hadn't addressed that, I would soothe myself. I'd kind of buried it. So on the surface, yeah, I feel great and all of that. But it was the deep-rooted stuff, which was why I've been in this cycle for so long, because I've actually not wanted to face the scary stuff. So I would kind of just, be on the surface. So then I would just go to those foods, the chocolate, Chinese or whatever, because they gave me comfort. And ultimately that was, bad for my health, because I just kept putting on weight and putting on weight and putting on weight. So much has changed, obviously working alongside you in such a short space of time, that it's like that light bulb has gone on and gone, wow, okay. It's been amazing. Also emotional.
That's okay. That's okay. I know. What would you say is some of your biggest, either some of or one of your biggest challenges maybe you've overcome over the last few years in either life or even business, trying to juggle it all?
So, oh God, shall I list them off? Have a list of all the things. There's been so much that's going on. Like in my previous business, I built a really successful business with them. My business was turning over about 4 million a year. I was at the top of the company, and that was really, really amazing. I was earning a multiple 6-figure income. And then I was the only income provider at home. And then they made a policy change, which almost overnight halved my business. So I ended up getting into debts of around £250,000. So huge, and having to go bankrupt, which was really, really hard, because at that point I didn't know if I was going to lose everything. I was a mum with kids. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to live in my home, because I didn't have that money. So in fact, this year, although there is big challenges this year, happy to share those, it's also been the best year, because I made the decision to obviously move to another company. And, my income is, my life is amazing in terms of my business and, how the team is growing. And, we're smashing it here over in the UK. But I overcome that challenge. But the thing that I've never been able to nail or overcome, and I'm sure there'll be loads of women that will be able to relate to this, we go on a health and fitness journey, and we're really good and we're eating really well, and then something crops up, and the first thing that goes is us. We go, do you know what, bottom of the pile, I've got too much to deal with right now, I'm going to reach for the chocolate or whatever it is, because I don't actually want to face that stuff that's going on. And then it's us that goes to the bottom of the pile. And that is something that I've done for the last, my goodness, 20 years, until I made some changes.
Yeah. What would you say, did you have, some of us have like that turning moment or something that happens and you're like, a light bulb goes off and realizes, okay, I need to put myself back. I need to come first now. Did you have anything that just totally triggered, like it's time for you?
Yeah, I think there's issues going on in my marriage currently, which are not great. And what I realised, this was the turning point, alongside David Goggins, of course, which has been, I'll talk about him in a minute, because I have mega crush on him, but not in that way, but he's just awesome. I've realised that my marriage has not been right for a really, really long time. And what I have been doing is, to cover that up, I've just been almost living at the top layer, and not delving deep into what the issues are. So how I've been coping with that is been coping with food, a bit like when we say, oh, you can have a treat meal at weekends, a treat meal, but that would be, oh, it's Friday, I'll have a treat meal Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the whole 3 days, because that's what was soothing me at the time. And obviously we've kind of hit a crisis point in my marriage, and it's been, wow, although it's tough, it's made me realise, it's been a massive, massive eye-opener, that actually I really need to face these issues, because I cannot continue like this. if I'm not looking after myself, like if my marriage breaks down or, and I have to be mentally strong, fit, and to be putting good nutrition in, otherwise I'm going to be broken. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it. I know I'm going to get emotional now. So if I cannot do that to my kids, but I can't do that to myself anymore.
Right.
So I'm emotional because it's a happy emotion. Obviously sadness tinged in there.
Right.
But it feels so good for it to kind of, finally click, and for me to go, for you to become the best version of yourself, rather than you kind of burying your head. You've got to face it head on, because you're going to become a much stronger person for it. You're showing your children the way by looking after yourself, keeping yourself fit. And I just think it's the way that I have to do this for me and my children, because if I don't, I'd be broken.
Yeah.
And in my head, some of the things that I've been doing is, I got this from you. I know about personal development. I've read stuff, and I've done loads over the years. But what I've found is I've really, really got my head stuck into listening to material, which is where Untamed come from. Amazing book. But then listening to a video of David Goggins, and then getting his book on Audible and reading that, and I'm like, if that man can run on 2 broken legs, I can stop putting chocolate in my mouth. Do you know what I mean? He along obviously with you, because you've been amazing, always, touching base and making sure that I'm all right, and you just know when things aren't right, alongside having you and listening to him, and it kind of has all kind of fitted together. So although my marriage, is breaking down, it's been, I think, the making of me, because I'm facing stuff that I've never faced before.
Yeah. It's powerful.
So, yes, fighting back the tears.
Well,
I've got control now. I've got control now.
Okay. No, I love that, because I feel like there's going to be so many women that can totally relate to everything you just said, because whether it be their marriage or their, you name it. I mean, I feel like I talk to more women when they get to that point versus before. And I think that's a big part of why I, want to get this message out. And I feel like you're doing that right now, because don't wait till you get to that point. But it's not easy. It's so hard. But it's also good for other people that do listen to this to know that they're not alone. They're not alone in putting themselves in the back burner, because I feel like, I swear it's in our DNA as women. If I could prove it, I would totally do it as women, and especially as soon as you become a mom, and then you throw entrepreneurship on top of that and being a leader of a team, like the size of your teams that you have now and what you've had in the past, it's like you have all this pressure that you put, that I feel like we have all this pressure of the world to do all the things. But the thing that I feel like, would you say you are the one that maybe puts the most pressure on yourself? Because I feel like a lot of us do that. Most of it is coming from ourselves, because we don't want to ask for help, or we think we're super moms and have to do it all. We really don't.
Absolutely.
And we can't do it very well if we're not doing what you just said. You're putting yourself first and your health, because your babies deserve it, and you deserve it, number one. Echo on last week's episode, she was talking about this very thing, and she's like, I'm selfish in a sense. Like, we have to be selfish in a sense, and it's not a bad thing. And it's being selfish and so that we can be better for them, for our babies, because they deserve all of us. And that's what melts my heart even more so, watching you do all that you're doing. And so David Goggins, I love him. If anybody doesn't, if you've ever listened to David, put David in the comments. If you've not, you should definitely check him out. One of the strongest, hardest, toughest men ever. But his book is Can't Hurt Me. check it out. But so how would you say, okay, so you mentioned you've done personal development, because in the online businesses that we're in network marketing, like this is something we are trained to do all the time.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
Personal development, if I could say that right. Then compared to what you're doing now, what is different? I know you meant besides listening to David.
Yeah, I think I have really connected with him because he doesn't fluff anything. And the way I think lots of people need fluff sometimes, whereas I don't. I need, right, this is what you've got to do, and get on with it. I can really connect with his story, but at the same time, he is what he's been through is insane. You know, we all have stuff go on in our lives. You know, I've had a pretty tough upbringing, so could kind of, you know, relate to some of that. But I don't even know if I can put it into words, but I understand now how important it is. So when I am listening to that material, I am listening to every word and I am taking it on board, whether I want to do it or not, or whether I want to exercise or not. You know, there is no, you can have a day off today, because I'd end up feeling guilty. Do you know what I mean? It is, I have to do it. This is something that I'm going to be doing every day. It is my priority, because I have always been, oh, it's all right, you can do it tomorrow. It's all right, you can do it, put it off, and then tomorrow never comes. And that, again, is a cycle of mine. So I'm trying to break that habit. And in David's book, it's like, do things that you don't want to do. So like in the morning, if I wake up and I don't want to exercise, I do it anyway, because I feel, you know, amazing afterwards. So yeah, I think it is so important. I cannot stress this enough, that when you are having a really hard time, because we have stuff going on with my 4-year-old at the moment. She's struggling with anxiety. She's going to have to get some support for that. I think it might be to do with the COVID and being, you know, locked in the house for so long. So she's really struggling too, alongside obviously what's going on in my marriage. So I could quite easily, do you know what, say, I'm gonna stay in bed, I'm gonna eat crap, and I'm just gonna shut myself off from the world. And that's what I've done. That has been my pattern for the last 25 years. So it's breaking that habit, because I know that that's not healthy. And if, you know, I am going to become a single mum, I need to be mentally right for them and me. So if I don't feel like doing it, I'm doing it anyway. And my best piece of advice is, if you don't want to do it, just do it. Because, and it sounds like it's easy, it isn't. You need to kind of just say to that person on your shoulder that you're hearing, it's all right, take a day off. You've got to listen to that voice and say, you know, is this voice serving me? It probably isn't. And you've got to think about how you'll feel afterwards doing your training or whatever. Because on Monday, was it Monday, I went out and I drove for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Absolutely knackered. I came home and it was like, there's no excuses here. I've just been listening to David Goggins for 5 hours. I'm not going to come home and then not exercise.
Right? Oh my gosh, yeah. So you're finding yourself, you're listening to it while you're working out now too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, powerful.
Yeah. I think that really gets me really focused.
Yeah. Yeah, I find myself even lately, like when you're tired and you don't want to get up, I'm more craving the mental, because I love to listen to the videos when I'm working out. That's what I do, and I get the best workouts ever. But mentally, after your workout, you're even so much more ready to tackle the day mentally. No matter what throws at you, I got this. It's like you put on your iron suit. Like nothing is going to get me down, especially if you're listening to David Goggins.
You know, when I came home from that 5-hour drive, I had him in my head. And when I was exercising, I think I had the best workout that I've ever had, because I could hear him. You know, like he does that 100-mile run.
Yes.
Which he didn't train for. And I could just hear him in the back of my voice. I'm like, I can push myself harder. So after I'd finished my workout, I was on the floor like sweating for like an hour, because it was like so hardcore. But he's got into my head, because he's just shown you the power of the mind, which is like, it's just you know, we're only using a small capacity. And I think that book in particular has really opened up my mind to, you know, what is possible.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I can't stop saying Mother F because I'm hearing him all the time, but I keep hearing him in my voice. You got this, you got this, you can do it.
Yes, yes, yes. Can't Hurt Me is the book. You guys go listen to it and prepared. There are some F-bombs and quite, not that it's some bad language, but it's so worth it. I mean, I actually.
Yeah, so powerful.
Yeah, it's so powerful, and I think what you really highlighted. If you're listening now and you're listening, that the thing that I totally got from what you just said, and just from experience too, is like we have to feed our minds just as much as we feed our bodies with nutrition and fitness. And I feel like that's the piece of the puzzle so many miss. They work out, they might even eat clean, but it's the mind it's the mindset part of it that they fail to even bother to try to work on. And so whether it's listening to the videos, I'm not a reader. Some people love to read, and that's great. I do not like to read. I try. I have some amazing books, but it's Audible for me or videos.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and some of you guys listening now may not, relate to David Goggins. You got to figure out what works best for you. I know he's crazy powerful, but the key is finding what works for you. And if you listen to it while you work out, not only will you feel better mentally, you're going to even get a better workout.
That you will, without a doubt. Yeah. And the one thing I did want to mention is I think the reason that I've struggled so much in my life is that there is. And I'm sure mums will be able to relate to this. That for me, there's stuff that happened in my childhood that became beliefs. For example, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm stupid, I'm disgusting. All these beliefs have come from, not everyone some coming from a place of love, but other, things, they become beliefs. And I didn't realise that even though I built a multi-million-pound business, there were still some beliefs in there that were ingrained that I had not faced. So perhaps when, something was coming up where I was feeling challenged and perhaps I felt stupid or whatever, I would then go to food. And what I've done, the flip, what has changed for me is that, okay, I still have this belief. I need to understand where that comes from. And I need to do the work on breaking that down and getting rid of that belief, because it's those things that we hold on to that perhaps sometimes we don't share that's held me back. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, I like that, because one of my next questions is, what are some of the biggest changes that you've made over the last three going on 4 months now? And that could be definitely one of them. Instead of turning to food, you're turning to your workout. So besides working out, now what is your, what are some of your biggest changes that you would say, even on the nutrition side, that you've made?
Yeah, the nutrition side has changed dramatically, particularly over I've had some really challenging stuff go on in the last 4 weeks. And what I've understood from working with you, and listening to David Goggins and all of that stuff, I think working with you has been the catalyst for everything kind of being out in the open, me having to share my food and my workouts, and it being almost out there has been really, really good for me. So oh god, I've lost my train of thought now. It's been it's been so much change. Nutrition massively, because I would eat crap all the time. I wouldn't think about what was going in my body, and obviously not sleeping. So I used to sleep all the time. That's changed. But mentally, in the last 4 weeks, there's been a massive, massive shift. And that's because I'm more challenged now than I have ever been. And I can't be that broken mum anymore, because if I'm that broken mum, I can't love and look after my children to my best ability. So although times are hard, it's probably the best time of my life, because I'm evolving and I'm going to become even stronger than ever before. And I know that with me sharing this stuff and me being accountable on my Facebook, I also know that I'm helping other women. So that empowers me, because, if I can help any woman that perhaps has been and felt the way that I have, then that would be, a wonderful thing for me.
Yeah, I remember having that talk with you, sharing your journey. And you're inspiring so many women by doing it and keeping yourself accountable. And that's definitely the method to the madness behind a lot of the things I'll say, have you do, start posting, do this, do that. It's amazing to watch. And how would you say, do you feel like it's helped you be mentally a stronger, say a leader, for example, in your business? Because your business is constantly growing and your people are ranking up. I'm blessed to be in the same business with Louise here, so we can follow it. I can see her and it's like, bam, 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 bam. It's awesome to watch. But do you feel like you're better as a present leader in that space as well now?
Absolutely, because my headspace is right. Whereas before, I've been in a bit of a fog, really, because although on the surface it all looked good, but behind, when I would switch off and I'm at home, I was unhappy and I would find excuses not to do things. So yeah, it's helped me all round, really. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So how would you, if you had anything to say to anybody out there, what would be your biggest piece of advice for someone that maybe is in a similar situation of you, or just a mom that is putting herself on the back burner over and over and over and over and like you were, and like many of us have and still do regardless, but piece of advice to anybody out there listening, what would you say to any woman?
I think if you look at the whole picture, it can be really overwhelming. So if perhaps they are challenged and they want to exercise and they want to eat well and they need to drink more water and they need to be looking after, I'll call it mental wealth, fill your head, mental wealth, making filling your head with the good stuff, is one step at a time. Because otherwise, it would get overwhelming, and that's what I loved about working with you, which is why I think everyone should work with you, like everyone in the world should work with you. Is what I found so easy was one step at a time. So we started with water, didn't we? And it's like, that's really, really easy, and that massively, massively helped. So rather than thinking, this is my end goal, start with one thing and master that, manage that, and then move on to the next thing, because otherwise it can be overwhelming. But the other thing I would definitely say, even if you don't feel like doing it, fill your head with the good stuff. Go and find something that's going to motivate you. Get on YouTube. There is tons of stuff. You might not like that David Goggins. I love him. I think it's amazing. But find what you connect with, and fill your head with the good stuff. It's not going to be, you're going to be, not say fixed, but healed. But it's going to help, because we're surrounded by negativity, news, what's going on in the world right now, even adverts that are on the TV. We are surrounded by, as a race, we can be quite negative unless you're in, the self-development journey. So we don't have the news at home. We don't listen to the radio because, I don't want my kids exposed to that. I just want to fill their heads with the good stuff. So expose yourself to more good things. And also think about the people that you're surrounding yourself with. I have this method with my team that if you have negative people in your life, if it's family, there's nothing you can do about that, but almost put yourself in a protective, I like visualize a protective bubble, protect yourself from that energy and go in, and protect yourself and know that person is perhaps coming from a place of love, whatever that may be. But yeah, fill your head with the good stuff. I could be talking for hours. What you'll see, it's not be like rambling about this, and this.
That's okay.
But that's me.
There's so much value there, though, and I'm glad that you said that, because the two biggest things that I love and I really strongly believe in are what you just said. It's baby steps. Too many people dive in. They go from, I want to get healthy, so they do everything all at one time. And that's definitely in my program that I love to take women through. A lot of times it's like, stop, slow down, one thing.
Yeah.
One thing, because it's good. You master that consistently, like you said, because consistent is everything. You don't have to do everything all at once. You don't have to try to find the quick results. But the biggest thing that you said is this. I'm a big believer, whether you're on a weight loss journey, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you work a job, it does not matter. If you are breathing and living on today's world, you need some positivity in your mind. And like you said, YouTube is one of my favorite places to go to. I'm subscribed to, I don't even know how many that now they just on my phone daily, like, oh, that's a good one. You know, I've got some amazing people. You got to figure out what works for you though. You know, and there's a lot, and we've got some that we can definitely recommend, like David Goggins, but like Louis said, he may not be somebody that you relate to. So find who you relate to, but that's something that we have to do on a daily basis, a daily habit. If you're in a funk, or you spend your time even on social media, like we run our businesses on social media, but if you live on it and you don't know the unfollow button or the delete button, or like, you got to get that crap out of your site daily, or you're going to take that energy, that negative energy, like you said, and that's what you're going to give to your family. And that to me is it's bad. It's definitely not what we want to do. And I know no mom wants to do that, but that's kind of what happens when you feed yourself or let the negativity soak in. So
I mean, what's the first thing that most people do is when they wake up in the morning, pick up the phone, start scrolling. And that's the worst thing you can do. You've got to make your first 10 minutes the best 10 minutes. So whether that is getting up, 10 minutes before journaling, or getting up half an hour early and exercising without going onto Facebook, onto social media, because you're basically then controlled by what other people are posting, and it can affect you. So you've got to start your day absolutely the right way, and don't scroll. Go find some fun stuff to look at.
That used to be a bad habit. I would go right to my phone and start scrolling. Last thing you want to do, don't pick up your phone, focus on you. And I hear a lot of moms like, I don't have time. There's no time for me. Well, my big belief, even if it's only 10 minutes, like you said, wake up 10 minutes before anybody else does, sit in a quiet room. If you have to lock yourself in the bathroom, like quietness, and just spend some quiet time with yourself. It's so, 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 so important for yourself, for your family, and all the above. So, oh my gosh, you brought so much. I'm so thankful that
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you guys, if you're listening again, if you're watching this live, you're in our group already. But if you're not in our group and you're listening to this in the podcast later, then join our group. Just go to acfitmama.com. There's a big button on the main page that you can join our community. It's for all women. Follow Louise. If you're watching this right now, follow her, because you can see her journey, see what she does, and you'll be inspired by watching her. And if you are watching this and you're like, I'm lost, I need help, you can set up a free time for us to just chat. We'll hop on a call together. There's a link above if you're watching it, or my website, acfitmama.com/chat. And then it doesn't hurt to set up some time to just chat, right? So
Angela is fire. Everyone has to work with Angela. She's always
oh my gosh, I love you. I'll pay for that one later. I love working with you, and I can't wait to keep going and keep supporting you and keep loving on you and keep watching you succeed. 11 pounds down in the last few weeks, girl. You're amazing. Keep going. You deserve every bit of it, and keep David in your ears. So thank you so much for.
Oh, you're so welcome. Lovely to be on with you. My favorite human, you are.
Thank you so much. All right, you guys, if you are listening, drop her some love in the comments, and we'll see you next Thursday, 11 a.m. Central.